Welcome, everyone, to another of our Thursdays New Teaching shows. I am joined today by the usual suspects and crew. I want to bring Laura here real quick to talk about Combined Therapies UK tour that will be going on in York. Laura, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi guys. Yeah, I'm doing great. Hi everyone. Yeah, we're really excited about going back to York again. So we had a week in York, over a week in York in July with some very successful days we had there with our combined therapies. We've recently done a few people in Brighton. That's been absolutely brilliant. If you haven't read it, please read our posts on Facebook. There's also YouTube and Rumble, where we're putting out everything about combined therapies. Everybody should have received an email if you're signed up to andrewbartzis.com. It will tell you all about what we do. It's fantastic to be able to offer you these combined therapies, and that's the Lucia light, the PMF mat, the magnetic therapy, the cranial sacral therapy, the psychic surgery, and a host of other things that the four of us are able to bring. And when the four of us come together, we bring that unique frequency, which has been so beneficial to so many people. We're just blown away by the results we're getting, and as I say, the feedback. So read our testimonials, watch the videos, and we will be in York from the 27th of September, and we will be there until the 7th of October. There's various packages. You can come on an introductory 1-day package, an introductory 2-day package. If you want to have more of the psychic surgery, you can come on a 3-day package. And there is also a 5-day, very intensive package where we include the hyperbarics. With all of these, we include the flotation pods, and that's the sensory deprivation. So healing, so relaxing. It allows your complete parasympathetic system to totally unwind, give in, and allow you to receive the healing that you need, the balance that you need, and to release trauma. And that's what it's all about, giving you a better quality of life. So we're very excited about York. We will all be there and hope you can join us.
Laura, we've been waiting a long time to put out the advertisement so we can tell everybody when we're going to do our next one. A lot of people have been asking about it. So at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see a website. Go to andrewbartzisjourney.com, Combined Healing Therapies UK. There should be a link in the show description. Also, if you are not signed up for the email list, go to andrewbartzis.com and a little screen will pop up and say sign up for email list. You'll get all of our directories, everything. And right now we have a number of slots available. We will be repeating this, but there's a very limited number of slots that are available. What was the total number, I believe, Laura? I think it was 8 or 12 for the whole week.
Yes. Yeah. So there are a few left on each of them, and we do try and be flexible as well. So have a look, see what you fancy, and we'll see what we can do for you.
And if you have any questions, you can contact Laura at Laura2feathers@gmail.com, and she can help you determine whatever the details or whatever your specific things that you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we do have a space for what we're going to call a concierge package. If somebody has something uniquely specific that they want to go through, we can make that available also, but that's at a significantly higher price. And part of that is the scheduling that it takes to be able to do that. We're going to be working with Red Main Lodge inside York. Wonderful people over there. Darren runs an incredibly beautiful facility. And we partnered up with him to be able to do these combined therapies at a price that everybody can afford. That is the key to understanding here.
Yeah.
So Dale, is there anything that you want to talk about for the combined therapies?
So when we were doing these combined therapies on the last time we were doing it, we looked at each other and we all thought, there's no one in the world doing this. As you've got 4 psychic surgeons, advanced practitioners, all working together. When you get all of us in a room, shit and magic does happen. And there was that realization like, holy shit, this is incredible. And this is the next layer of healing for the future, the combination of back-to-back therapies and how it allows you to go deep into yourself. So all of those things you've been hiding away inside of you, all of those, I'd say, character flaws as well, come to the surface for you to heal. And some of the releases, some of the cries, all the things I've seen under the Lucia light and all the back-to-back sessions, it's out of this world. And to be able to do psychic surgery under the light is phenomenal. And to experience all of those back-to-back, it's a really deep layer of healing. So if you're feeling down, if there's something, there's something inside where you need to fix and so on, highly recommend getting yourself booked on. You get to meet Andrew, the Galactic historian, you get to meet me, Laura and Maty, and have this combination of us coming together like an orchestra and you listening to our music. So exciting times.
And if you're lucky, Maty will take his top off when he works.
Yes.
No, not doing that anymore.
No, he's retired.
We've been joking that Maty's going to make a light worker calendar where he's going to hold puppies and kittens with a shirt off.
Yes.
So if you want to see Maty with puppies and kittens on a calendar, please do it in the chat and tell us what you want.
I don't know, leave a comment. If enough people say they want it, I'll do it.
Yeah. But Maty,
so chat
and tell us about Maty's puppies and kittens pictures.
I'd like to talk about the combined healing therapies actually, because impressed me the most as a practitioner is if you were just to be sending people from one treatment, and then they come onto the table, there's already all the resistance that we have to go through with the people that we're healing is already gone. And then when you add the mat, and then when you add the lights, another layer, then the magnets, another layer. And I would just, extremely excited about this process because it allows us to clear decades worth of surface trauma that you sweep off as a healer that most people will come to you to see is already removed. Is the layers that we could go to. I mean, we were doing what would have taken us years individually, and doing them within hours. Very
Yeah.
impressive.
The last group we did, we changed up a little bit, whereas all four of us were working on each person at the same time with the light and the mat going and the magnets on. And that's what Laura and Dale were referring to when we all come together. And those are those unique scenarios when all four of us can work on a single patient at a time. Though the York position will be picked up, you'll always have two people working on you. It's just a matter of how we schedule everything, because we're generally having 4 people a day going through it, depending on the number of day packages that you have. But you will always have multiple people working on you, being able to crack through some of the toughest nuts that are out there.
Yeah, and magical, unique moments do happen. So it's an adventure. So when you turn up, it's not.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Maty.
No, that's it. I've got a little bit of delay.
Okay, so even if you have nothing wrong with you, you can still have a mystical experience. There are many people that have been coming to the combined therapy since I started in early 2016 that have come. They don't have anything majorly wrong with them. They're not really depressed. They're not really successful. They're just looking for the next layer of experience. This can happen within this system also. When you combine the float, the light, the PEMF mat, it allows you to have a state of clearness that's undescribable. And then when you add the hyperbaric chambers in, it lasts a form of clarity, a clearing of the mental fog that lasts for months at a time. It allows your visionary states to go. And for those people who are coming with no sickness and want to have that visionary journey, we tailor that unique experience for you. We use a form of contract revocations and guided meditations while you're on the light that will take you to multiple places and worlds. And you'll have your own chance for your own internal validation of discovering how the mystical can affect you.
What do you call
and
it,
then we
Andrew?
had somebody. Sorry, Dale.
Sorry, Laura. The no drug mystical experience.
Yep.
And then we had somebody like Andy.
Go ahead, Laura.
We had Andy with multiple sclerosis and the difference that it's made to him. And it's a journey that he wants to continue now because he found it absolutely amazing. When you read his testimonial, he had an incredible experience. And it's so gratifying, and it to be able to help people like this. It's not like, oh, we'll cure you, we're the healers. It's not. You come as a co-creation. You come open-minded, unlimited point of view. Be ready to accept the healing, accept what we're bringing to you, accept this co-creation with you, and get some absolutely amazing results.
Wonderful. With that, we're going to start our show now. Today, we're talking the spirituality of politics and the politics of spirituality. We're not talking about specific politics, the energy of politics, how it affects an environment, how it infects an environment, how certain belief systems and unique political systems destroy magical systems. So with that being said, I want to pose a question to everybody here, but we're going to go around our little round table here. When it comes to family-based politics, what does it do to the environment with your own personal experience being spiritual people? Dale, we'll start with you.
I'd say there's some sort of limitation there already when you get into politics, because are you talking about the politics we see on the TV, Andrew? Is that the question related to family?
The spiritual politics.
And how, like, how it affects the household.
Yeah. So I'd say it's a form of limitation, and just the feeling of politics doesn't feel good to me. Obviously, we have to go into politics at time. There's a lot of it going on the TV, but for me, I'd say it's a limitation on a family, and it changes the family because they always feel like they're controlled in a way. There's like an underlying control going on where there's some sort of narrative happening, and they have to live by that narrative. And there's always some chain to that kind of like infrastructure. That's how I see it. It's just a form of limitation and a form of control.
But what does it do to the energy of a conversation?
I'd say it completely flips a frequency. As soon as you mention politics to a family setting, it either someone starts arguing, someone gets really pissed off, someone wants to give you their point of view without you listening to you. I do not go into politics with family members anymore because it's like dropping a bomb. As soon as you start bringing up politics and someone's got another opinion, the next person's got another opinion, all of a sudden everyone starts arguing. And so I experienced it 3 years ago. I remember we started talking about it. Then someone turned around at me because I was explaining how I felt and like, that's not right. No, that's not right. And I'm like, whoa, this is going the wrong way here. I'm not trying to prove everyone wrong.
Let's take that snapshot of what you just described and look at the unseen world. Is that person attacking you energetically?
Yes, looking for a fight.
Yes.
They're looking for a fight. Okay. Let's keep that snapshot and bring it to Laura. The energy of conversations. Let's say you're in a normal, wonderful conversation talking about art and life, and all of a sudden somebody brings up Boris Johnson and his hair and the politics. What does that do to the energy of your conversation?
It weaponizes it. So it brings a much more agendaed and can also be slightly aggressive tone to it as well. The I'm right. And it's taking a stance of division. And it's not heart-based, it's all head-based. And it's all head-based on the global narrative and, what they want you to believe. So people get this heart disconnection as well and start running on all these programs, all the agenda-based programs.
How much of ego is behind a person that wants to drive their political point to the dead horse?
Oh, yeah. A lot of ego is driving that, isn't it? Because the need to be right and the fact they're aligning themselves and they want to align themselves with something they seem to be right, which is also, they don't realize how much they're giving their power away and taking away their own sovereignty and giving their power and energy in the unseen world to that particular group of beliefs.
How many people in the chat room have been forced into a political conversation, and after they're said and done, you go home, you feel dirty?
Mm-hmm.
It's because their energy penetrated your field, and your field wasn't strong enough to resist their projections that my way is the only way. And that's the zealot who's enforcing their energy like a spear to penetrate your system. So, Maty, I want to bring Maty in here a second to talk about energetic attacks from this political perspective, not from a ghost or a demon.
Yeah. So it is in a neutral person. We're not zealots, but we always have an element of our moral code. We understand how to speak to people, how not to speak to people. We understand it. We also understand the levels of awareness that other people are at. So with family members, people who might not be spiritual, we can still engage in an element of, now as soon as somebody, and that in itself is pretty unlimited. It's not completely, not hugely limited. It just depends on the receptivity of the other party. Politics, then you bring the global narrative, as Laura said, slap bang into the middle. And this subject matter isn't wisdom learned. It's information. People that learn information think that they have the information that's going to win the argument. And politics itself is one side arguing and shouting against another side to see who's right and who's wrong. Exactly what it brings in. It's almost like the narrative just comes slap bang into the middle of your sacred moment and just it. For me, I have had to learn to maintain my character, not to say, do you know what, man, that stuff really doesn't concern me, and just come back to the previous, if possible.
So all too often, political conversations that are forced into an environment make you have to respond to your political views. And one of the common ones, which I proposed for a long time, is I don't vote. My vote is lost in this corrupt system. And my choice to not vote is my saying to the system, I cannot work with you in any way, shape, or form. And when a person says you don't vote, you're irrelevant, you've now engaged in the zealot's conversation of them trying to convert you or persecute you. All too often, political conversations turn this way. What are some ways to defend your energy against this pointed, persecutive energy? Because you say, I choose not to vote because you forced me into giving an answer. Or how do you answer without answering? Thus,
It's
trying to get out
difficult.
of the forced combat that's there.
Sometimes you can bring in humor, but it can be quite difficult to go from that sort of energy straight into making a joke of it and to be able to carry it off, because that person is still full steam ahead on their I'm right agenda. And sometimes it's hard to crack that particular energy that's coming at you.
You just have to offer no argument. I mean, that's the most counter argument, and that's the trap that they're looking for. It could be so simple to get into that trap, but just don't offer that.
I think saying exactly what we're talking about, I don't like to get into politics because all it turns into is an argument, so I'm just getting out here now. I think that's the best way of saying it, because you're just telling them the fucking truth. Like, you don't want to, because people change, and I don't want to deal with that shit. I'm out. Peace.
Oftentimes they don't let you do that, though.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. So I'm referring to that. Everybody's been stuck and will be stuck with Christmas dinners, etc., coming up. And the whole point of bringing this type of show up, it's not about individual politics. It's how to deal with people that are forcing their energies on you through the political conversation of the divisive narrative that is out there. So once again, using I don't vote, because so somebody said, who did you vote for last year? And there's no way around it of saying I didn't vote. And they go, why didn't you vote? Well, I'm going to say to them, I chose not to vote because it's my personal belief that the systems are corrupt on both sides. It's a monoparty, not a single party, and that no vote, including yours, means anything anymore. Right there, that will trigger their zealot side to prove me wrong. As an energy person, what did I do by bringing it to a head right away?
You didn't allow them to go through their narrative.
Exactly. Keep going. Keep going. They're going to have to say something.
Because your conclusion is it has politics against that particular conclusion. There is no way to politics out of it.
Okay. And here's the counter argument. Well, then you believe in nothing. You must be an anarchist. No. I'm a capitalist who believes in a non-corrupt society. But the corruption has reached such high levels, it's transparent. And if you can't see it, perceive it, or understand it, I can't have any political conversations going forward with you anymore. My way out.
Yeah.
I said this recently. I said I don't vote. And I was told, well, how can you expect to make changes? And then I tried attack of, well, the changes come from within, and it's all our self-responsibility to make those inward changes and heal the inner trauma and so on. And I think that just went whoosh.
Sure.
That was something that wasn't heard. Yes.
It's like, I have my own way of saying it, but I will say like, personally, in my own life, surviving in my own life and just getting myself together and doing the things I need to do, taking care of myself and my loved ones is enough what other people are doing. There's so many different ways that I have of saying it. It depends on the type of character that you're
Sure, but they can still say you're a head in the sand person. Okay? There is a way to specifically answer this question. What vote has actually ever made any lasting change since 1536 in the UK signing of the Magna Carta? None. Not one vote has made any significant difference from taking the power away from the elite and balancing it with the poor. Not one vote has made any actual lasting change from generation to generation. Prove me wrong, asswipe. Okay? They can't. Even if they find one vote, how fast was it erased by the next political party?
And as a woman, I get also about the suffragettes.
Yes.
You know, and
Feminists.
people died so you could vote. It's another thing that I get told.
People are dying right now and their vote means nothing. So that ends their argument right now. If people in the past died, well, there are people dying right now in hospitals that can't get medical care or liver transplant because they won't actually pass the actual medical care that actually effectively treats everybody in the country. See, these are the arguments that learn to end arguments. And at that point, you say, I choose not to have a political conversation any further. If you want to push it, that's your choice, but I'm exiting the conversation now, moving it along, stopping them in their tracks so that their pointed energies can't do anything and let their energy go pop. Okay? Popping their choice to get at you.
And having that kind of resonance of I'm not accepting any of your projections or bullshit. So as they're going into it, having that like stronghold, say no, you're not coming in, bitch.
But if you can use humor and you can make a joke of something in a light way, it can instantly diffuse that energy, or it can start to diffuse that energy. But I think that's quite a tough one.
One of the difficult ways is like my father. He automatically same political view as he does. So he speaks about his politics as it's a matter of fact. Quite risky politics as well. Very awkward to listen to.
Right. So your dad is a great example of people who have political derangement syndrome. Whatever has gone on in their political party or their political belief has created a derangement in them, a false narrative that drives forward their ideology to become zealotous, martyr to their cause. You know, I believe you have here in the UK, your Tories, your Labour, your this. Those are all myths. They don't do anything for the actual people that they describe. They are bought and paid for by their political donors. You can never get through to a deranged political person that truth, even though the narrative admits it. They got this many millions of dollars from this thing, and all of their votes are for that subject matter. They are not representing a constituent.
Then you get those people who are so lost into it even more, where they know everything about politics and they literally will just start spewing out all of this shit all the time, and because that's all they focus on is the politics. Who's this? What's new? What news is new? So sometimes you find those people, and it's a rarity. But when you find them, you're like, "Holy fuck! How do you know this shit?"
Yeah.
And what makes
so
me laugh is when you get two of them together at one time. As parties where one will be political and another one will be political, and then end up on their own in the kitchen having fun somewhere else.
Okay. So recently in the United States, the International School of Psychologists have actually identified a new psychosis, and it's called Trump derangement syndrome. It's actually a diagnosable psychological issue. Trump derangement syndrome. Anything Trump does is evil and is considered to be must be removed at all costs, and it aggresses people to actually take violence against others. We've had several dozen incidents of people who were far leftists who crushed a Republican right-winger by a car, or stabbed a person to death, shot a person to death, threw him off of a flight of stairs, beat him up in a pub. This has been political violence has been going on for a long time, but it's always been the right that does the supposed violence in the history, and it's now flipped. The left is creating the violence. And if you go back and look at history, all political parties in all countries switch sides every generation or two. What was the ideas of the left become the right, and what were the ideas of the right become the left? Okay? It's a never-ending cycle. And this is where we have to see the energy of what our political generation is being exposed to. And as spiritual people, how do we not get indoctrinated? How do we stop indoctrinated in our loved ones who are open to it? Because if they're not open to it, you are wasting your energy. You cannot convert a person. They have to have it within them in themselves. So we have a very aggressive political season coming up in the United States. One that's going to split minds, break media organizations, and eventually something will come out that they won't be able to control. Okay? Multiple subject matters. I don't want to do any specific ones because this show is not about specific politics. It's the energy of politics. So what's going to be coming up is a divisive form of politics about Trump and the removal of Trump from the Republican Party. And the only way that can happen is if the political elite who slum the Republican parties put the money to do that. That means the constitutional republic that is the United States has now weaponized the Department of Justice to go after political rivals. Never in the course of the history of the United States has that been done. That is done in banana republics, where there is no opposition. And it's openly being done now. That divisiveness is going to make the Trump derangement syndrome people and the other side, because there's a derangement syndrome for the other side too, that all believe too much, the DEI, this, that whatsoever. Okay, all of them are going to become extremists. And what happens when extremists dominate the media?
You get a zealotry narrative.
Violence happens. Just like when we had Ferguson or the race riots that they tried to make out of nothing when there were no race riots were going on. Okay? They manufacture stories.
All the stupid Antifa things.
Yes.
With the Trump supporters really fighting.
Okay? I want to put this out to everyone now. Knowing that extremists are coming in the political narrative, no matter where you're at, as a spiritual person, what rituals, ceremonies, and defenses can you create for your own ongoing life so extremist energies can't penetrate you subtly?
A very specific type of prayer. Revocation, invocation.
Yeah, rejecting those projection energies, fortifying your field against those projection energies, using fire as well as a cleanser and protector.
And using that name it to claim it system to say, no, I'm not taking on your energy or anything's projecting at me. And like Maty and Laura said, that daily prayer, that's why it's so important, because it gets you out that bubble of allowing things in to say, no, I'm allowing you. You're kind of telling the reality what you want. And so many people out there don't do daily prayer. And this is why daily prayer is so important, because you're waking up and telling the world what you want in and what you want out.
Choosing to stay in the sacred neutral point of view.
Absolutely, because that's one of the things that's going to bring you in is out of politeness. If people try to, or if you're in work, let's say you're in the smoking area in work, or you're just doing it for the sake of inclusion, you're still allowing, it's really standing your point, standing your ground and making sure that you're not brought into that competitive.
Yeah, you can include your peacemaker and peacekeeper energies with this as well.
Very much so.
But it's very important you don't let it sully your field, because it can be easily done if you're not maintaining that sacred neutral stance all the time. And that's a continual work, isn't it, guys, to call yourself out on that. And I still have to call myself out on that at times.
And
what does
regular
vigilance.
What does sullying your field look like? So people that will understand how it's going to creep into you.
Okay. So it's about watching your inner and outer dialogue, being very of what goes on in your mind, how you process the world around you, and then how you speak. Just one part of it, obviously. The rest is the prayer, the ritual, the ceremony, all of the stuff that we always talk about, that you're not just acting in those moments, that you bring that with you into your everyday life. The ethos of how you live and how you move around the world.
And it's also your thoughts, isn't it? Your thoughts.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
you have to watch those as well. I mean, that energy can seep into you. And thoughts then affect your words, it's then affect your actions. And suddenly you've in some area of unawareness, you slipped out of that sacred neutral point of view.
And you've got to have that regular purification process, because if you're not, you're faking it. Have a regular time where you go into yourself and you check what's in your body. If there's any projections or any bullshit in there, how to remove it. Have regular saging and so on. That shit's really important to separate yourself from it.
And you stick to your moral code. That is one of the most important things that you can do, is you don't allow others to come in and to make their reality more real than your reality. But it gets across the point.
And don't lose the joy of the stuff that you love and you enjoy, in nature and all that, those connections that when you're on this path that you love. Don't lose sight of that, because that will bring you back to that sacred neutral point of view. That can clear out a lot of projections. Just a good walk in the woods sometimes.
Yeah.
Hey, with what you
and
guys
if you're not doing it,
just
enjoy it.
Well, what you guys just said about clear your field, Marissa is asking, any talk on directed energy weapons fires? That is a political, conspiratorial, purposely engaging subject matter. You have already fallen victim to it by just asking the question. How to remain sacred neutral? Stop talking about it. Stop reading about it. There's nothing you can do to stop a directed energy weapon from hitting anywhere or doing anything with it. So why is it such a politically charged conspiracy subject matter? Because they wanted out there to get people into the divisive conversation and join a side. As soon as you've picked a side, you have already lost. Your side should be the only side you choose.
That's the neutral aspect of it, isn't it?
Right. So let's pick another politically charged subject matter, chemtrails.
It's like
5G. Well, every year there's a new group of people that learn about chemtrails. They still think it's going.
Yeah, we chatted about this recently, didn't we, Andrew? Because in my light worker days, I was horrified and taking photos and putting them up on Facebook, therefore adding more fear energy to the post, and rather than any sort of joy energy, until I listened to what Andrew said later on. And Andrew's always been saying, and now you're saying that a lot of the what they're doing is actually clearing the skies. But there were times I was so stuck in that these are chemtrails, look up there, and you're telling people next to you, you're telling your partner, you're telling your children, you're telling the people you live with, and you just become a pain in the neck after a while.
It's like the Psyop of the Save the Children stuff, where people started seeing all this information and it started changing them. I saw this firsthand with a lot of people who came to my events. I saw people fall off into the conspiracy and Save Children movement, where they ended up getting really ill or they ended up shying away from the journey. It really fucks people up. Like there was people outside in York marching maybe 3-4 years ago, and they're all there with a sign saying "Save the Children," and he was just like, "They're not going to do fucking anything. All they're doing is wasting the time."
And they, what do you call it? Conspiracy is basically called awakened movement, isn't it? You know, people that consider themselves to be awakened be politics. Well, when you look at what conspiracy is, it pretty much is using exactly the same politics, just with different subject matter. So really, you've just gone from one subject matter to another, and it's really false. It's a real enlightenment trap.
And it always comes back to Andrew's, sorry.
With that, Marissa's asking, how do we come back to the center if we know stuff? How do you know that stuff is real? And I pose that to everyone on the panel here and everyone else out there. If you know stuff, conspiratorial stuff.
And also, if you know it. Sorry, Maty, there's a delay. No, you go, because you've got the delay.
No, you go ahead. I've forgotten what the question was now.
Sorry.
You're out saving the children, mate.
It's stilted, yeah. So if you know stuff and you've become triggered by it or agendered, it goes back to Andrew's famous question, how is that working for you? How is that making your life any better? How is that making you a better person, a more healed person, a more balanced person? It's a really simple question, but it is so effective.
And also, Marissa,
And it doesn't just have to be.
We always say what you look at looks back at you. So if you're going to look at that shit all the time, it's just going to stare back at you. If you're going to stare at the demon will stare back at you.
And when they say no stuff, if you say no stuff, that it doesn't even just have to be full. There's all kinds of stuff that us as healers that we know that we go through. And now we know this stuff. Well, how do we just be normal human beings and live our lives? It's a fundamental if you're going to be on the spiritual journey and progress.
So here's the next question from Tara Jacobs. What is the difference between perpetuating a mindset versus creating awareness? Wonderful question. My first answer to this, your level of awareness, your level of awareness is equal to your capacity to perceive. Sorry, I'm doing the quote wrong. All right, so put that to the question. So what is the difference between perpetuating a mindset versus creating awareness? To the panel. Tough one, isn't it? Perpetuating a mindset, what we were just talking about, versus creating an awareness of it.
It's the competition factor. It depends on also the ego. How much of what is it that you're trying to get out of it? Is it validation? Is it natural evolution? To something with an unlimited point of view, you can investigate something, and then you will come to the ultimate conclusion. Is not anything else other than that. Is just perpetuating some form of story that whether it's a personal agenda or a greater agenda, it doesn't really matter because it's taking you away from that unlimited point of view.
Yeah, creating awareness is just a non-agendered neutrality, isn't it? So it's creating greater consciousness about something, whereas perpetuating a mindset is forcing something down a more agendered route.
But not getting lost into curiosity. That's important with it.
So the statement is your level of awareness is equal to your level of responsibility, and your level of responsibility is equal to your level of awareness. And when conspiratory subject matters such as save the children, etc., come into your awareness, you are not responsible for all those children that are being abused. Yet you've taken on that responsibility, and your level of awareness exceeds your responsibility, and you deplete your own energies.
And stop your own journey.
That's right. Right, let me tell you a little story. I'll leave the names out. A gentleman and wife healer, dual healer. They're on the international stage. Very powerful, making a tremendous amount of money. Clients left and right coming and visiting them from all over the world. They get into the Save the Children thing, and they ignore their clients, and all they post is about Save the Children. They have now lost their business, lost their house, lost absolutely everything, and wondering where everyone went. That's because I told them, look at your Facebook feed the last year and a half, 2 years. Is there anything actually about your business in it anymore? No. It's all Save the Children. You destroyed a multi-million-dollar speaker's job because you went down that thing and couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
Destroyed your business. And it'll never come back because they destroyed their own reputation with it.
Yeah. And you said that all along, haven't you, Andrew, that the moment on any form of business, it doesn't matter what politics it is, you've ruined that business.
That's right.
It's like the raw food stuff as well. When you see someone posting about it all the time, just about that, it's just like unfollow.
Why do you unfollow, Dill?
Just because for me, when I look down my feed, it's just it doesn't feel right. Like some of the stuff what people post don't feel right. If it's about Save the Children, it's just them being zealots, and there's not actually information there what's going to help me in any way. And that's what a lot of people lack, I'd say, in practitioners out there when they do the social media post, is how can you give a post out there where it's not going one side to one side, where it's coming from a place of real nice awareness, a place of love, but still allowing some sort of healing instead of this is my narrative, you've got to believe it. And that's what I see as I go down. Please, you have to believe my shit projecting onto me. I'm like, nope.
Yep.
Unfollow. Then you get the love and lighters who are going on about the love and light all the time, trying to throw that narrative at you. So for me, it's about the energy of them trying to push on you their shit. And it's like, no.
Force you into a perspective. And some of that as well is also quite vital. There's some subject matter that's not, but things like Save the Children and some of that stuff, it's done in a way that's just dense information into your face. That's why I remove them, because I don't appreciate that process. Oh fuck, wish I'd never seen that.
You can't, there's shit you can't unsee. Okay? And when somebody does shock advertising like that, that's an attack on your soul, whether you realize it or not. It's an attack on your soul.
It's certainly not healing, is it? And it's certainly not spreading any joy or making people feel better about things or good about themselves.
Or expanding their consciousness.
Mm.
Or teaching them about love.
Mm.
It's just more things
put
to
them in a negative frame of mind.
Yeah.
Mm.
It makes you feel
Makes you feel helpless.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's disempowering.
Right. Disempowering, not empowering.
Mm.
Or the worst one is, I think I told this story about 8 months ago, actually, on this show. Was as I was walking into York, there was a lady and she was showing us a pig getting slaughtered on like a little video camera, and she had it on a chest. This video just playing of these pigs getting slaughtered, and she's walking up to me, and I was like, I'd literally like, fuck off. I was like, no. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to shock the shit out of you. Look at these pigs, animals getting killed. It's wrong, and they're just throwing that shit on you, and it feels. But it feels really nasty when they're around you.
Have you noticed how that elicits a violent response from people around? Whereas people that see that and they understand it, and then at least somebody, and every time you see that, at least somebody's going to start eating meat of them, or it happens every time. You know, everybody just gives a negative response. No one is going to be listening and forcing it down their throat.
Has anybody?
It just reintroduces duality, doesn't it?
Right. Has anybody seen the tribal police vehicle ram through the climate change activists on a highway?
Yep, and then pin her to the floor and point. It was
right.
It was absolutely needed.
So, right, the vast majority of people call this awesomeness. The one time the cop did the right damn thing.
Exactly.
You understand? They were on tribal police lands. They were not on federal lands. The tribal police can do whatever they want. Okay? The guy is under review. We don't know what's going to happen. But all of a sudden, you heard this girl go, "We did nothing." And he's like, "No, you blocked the freeway."
Yeah.
And that's what you did over and over and over. And this woman's level of denial and entitlement.
Your mic's gone down, Andrew.
Right.
Your mic's gone up. I didn't hear that last bit. All I heard was
bloody climbers.
He's coming back in again.
Blocking all the traffic. You know, it's just like, you know, you can see how frustrating all the traffic in inner London. Nobody can get to work. Everybody loses money. How is that empathy for your cause?
And I've got a really funny one. A lot of people have probably seen this. It is fucking hilarious. There's a whole loop of protesters outside this truck with oil in the back of the truck, and they're protesting, stopping it. And the guy comes out and he goes, "You do realise this is olive oil, don't you?" And they're there for about an hour blocking it, thinking, saying about the black oil, stop getting oil and slow on petrol, blah, blah. And he's like, "You do realise it for olive oil." So they're there for fucking ages.
The delivery
for no
was
reason.
absolutely brilliant. Because I think he said something like that. All this.
Did you see the
Sorry,
ones they
guys.
super glued their hands to a set of military vehicle? Not military vehicles, tanker vehicles, and they actually put their hands on the wrong one. They glued themselves to the wrong ones.
No, I want to see that. I'm going to be looking at that tonight.
Just search engine at YouTube. Glued hands to wrong vehicle protesters. You'll laugh
Is
your
Mike
ass
still
off
back?
because they all realize oh, shit, we're on the wrong vehicle. All right,
Your
so
mic's
back to
bad
the
again, Andrew.
my mic again. God damn it. All right.
Some interesting full blue moon energies going on here, haven't we, today?
It's all the Save the Children protests are slowing down the waves of the internet. And that's it. It is just about how, even for those listening who are in business, it's about how you can market yourself in the right way, where it's not pushing on people at all. And I think that's where we have to get to, is not pushing our own shit on other people. And we all have those zealot parts of us, especially the light worker program I had when I was a light worker. It was always trying to tell someone they were wrong, or trying to push a narrative about love and light and shit, where I had to just stop myself. I just had to tell myself to just shut up. When you try and push spirituality on someone who's not spiritual, it creates karma. It really does. Or if you try and help someone who's not spiritual, I've had this with my mum, where I've given her too much of my time and focus and energy of trying to help her, and it all fucking spewed back in my face, and it turned into karma and inner work for me to do. So it's about how to just turn it off and not engage with that shit.
Because if you really look at it, Dale, because I've done exactly the same thing, it's more about ego in the depth of it. It's more about wanting to be right, and that ego's running the show, rather than allowing somebody to gain their consciousness and awareness in their own time. And we think, I convinced myself that I was trying to help and it will be far better for them. Well, I don't know their journey. So why did I think it would be better for them to have this information?
Well, I had that. And that,
because at the beginning of that journey...
Go ahead, Maty.
I said, because at the beginning of their journey and at the beginning of our journey, the ego still hasn't been touched. It's not dented. Our awareness wants to awaken to new ideas, to new points of view, but yet the ego's still there in spirituality, doesn't it? And it's something that everybody has to go through. You have to go. You can't just skip straight away, miss that point. But some people just get lost there and they get stopped there because it feels so, isn't it?
That's it. And I've got a story which connects all to this. I remember when a few years ago when my father was diagnosed with brain tumor. I've spoken about this on one of the Talking Sick shows. There was a time where I really wanted to help him in healing through cannabis and all sorts of shit like that, hyperbarics and blah, blah, blah. And it got to the point where I had a full ego death, where I remember I had a session with Andrew and he goes, look, he doesn't want the healer. He doesn't want you to try and save him. He just wants you to be his son. That's all he wants. And I had such a fucking death within myself, that my ego and all of this shit. Like, it was a day of processing, like, holy fuck, this hurts. Then the next day I just had to be myself. And that, his death and all of that, I believe there's teachings in death, teaching when people are dying. And that for me was one of the biggest teachers ever.
Bless him.
All right, is my mic doing good now, or is it screwed up?
Yes, that's better.
Yes.
Yeah, you've got some spunk in your voice now.
So I remember telling you that you want your son. He wants to watch a football game with you. He doesn't care about any of that other stuff. Okay?
Yes.
Now, I want to bring up the climate change activists again, blocking freeways and roads. You're going to be seeing an increasing amount of this topped off by road rage. Okay? When road rage meets politics, what happens next?
Wonderful TikToks.
Wonderful TikToks. Well, yes. Bloody deaths. Bloody deaths. Okay? But this is the environment they have tried for a long time to harvest from, to create with. Okay? So Marissa has another question here. Okay? Need a bit of help with that. How do not be charged about medicine, which is a part of, that has lost the sacredness and lack of spiritual hygiene and lack of boundaries. With something so close, how still to let others' journey be their own on their own time? That's the whole point of spirituality, is letting people do it in their own time without you judging them or giving them information that they will judge from you. They have to take it in their own right. It has to be their own choice. Stepping on another person's journey often is what stops them from ever going down that path.
And you'll be surprised the kind of subject matter that you can raise with somebody like that, even if you know, in potential, it doesn't have to be dense spiritual subject matter. It doesn't face facts about the dangers of certain medicines. It just has to be a softer point of view. If they do, and that might happen in time, they'll come back and ask for more. When you feed it, when you like that, you just do more damage.
Right. And if a person's on a path of non-sacredness and they're using a medicine, you should be as far away from them as possible, no matter how close of a friend they were. They will become toxic and inevitably attack you with their own demons. And that's a hard choice, but it's what the spiritually minded person has to understand. If you let a negative energy in your reality squat in your reality and do nothing about it, it will abuse you.
Yeah.
It will abuse you. And until you onboard that information, it will abuse you, and you're letting it abuse you, you are telling the spirit world, I'm abusable.
And how many people in the sessions do you see that, you know, they're talking to you about their haunted friend? You have a portal to you. You know, that just because they're your friend that's haunted doesn't mean you. And oftentimes they do.
Exactly.
Then all of these people come with the ghost, with the demons, and they expect it just to be cleared or whatever, but they don't do any fucking work on themselves. And they'll have a huge hole in the aura where the demon's been able to get in and work through them or scare them or anything. You have to do that inner work, because as soon as you start doing the inner work, you start fortifying more of yourself until the point where those fuckers can't get in. And a lot of people don't realize that.
Maybe
and also,
about
Marissa.
three. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to say to Marissa, because she said it was a medicine circle that had lost the sacredness and lack of spiritual hygiene and lack of boundaries. Just go and do that for yourself. I think you were in it. You're not part of it now. But so great. You've seen that it's got lack of boundaries. So you're establishing your own boundaries by not going back to that particular medicine circle. You could always create your own medicine circle, because you've obviously got the right values of the right shamanic values, the sacred neutrals shamanic values. And you know, if you're talking about, sorry, Maty.
Sorry, this is annoying me, Laura. I'm really sorry.
Sorry, don't worry. It's okay. Don't worry.
It's as if you're that they're just not doing it right. That practice at that point becomes dangerous. It's not coming from a place of empowerment, which means that any ritual, ceremony, and medicine that's done a doorway, a gateway, a portal in for anything, and generally it's going to be, you know, take control of that.
Okay. So about 3 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, when I was still doing Adventures in Reality call-in show, I had a gentleman that called in, was talking about his partner. They've been together 10, 12 years. They have kids, a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old. And she began drinking heavily drinking, got multiple DUIs, and was haunted as hell. And I asked him in the show, are you still having sex with her? And he said, yeah. So you're putting your dick in the demon hole. That's where that term came from. Dick in the demon hole, or the vagina, the haunted vagina, or the haunted penis. Okay? And I use those visceral terms for a reason, because the guy suddenly had an aha moment. I'm like, you got to stop having sex with her. Because she was constantly instigating him to use it as a control method. to get over the fact that she had 3 DUIs, had the kids in the car during one of the DUIs, and he was just letting it go, and letting it go, and letting it go, and letting it go, and letting it go. And I go, what point are you going to stand up and go, every time you put your dick in that demon hole, you are bringing in her energy into you. There's a portal between lovers that allows all of that responsibility and everything to be dumped onto you. And you are almost as haunted as her, but you're the one taking care of the children right now. You're the one paying the bills. She's drinking at 8:30 in the morning, drunk by 11:30, trying to drive the car by 12:30 to pick up children. And you did nothing about it.
It makes you implicit.
Yeah.
So this is where the seen world is actually amplified in the unseen world, isn't it? And then amplified back again as it comes into the seen world.
Exactly. And my advice to him was, next time she drives, you know she's going to be driving, call the police, have her pulled over, okay? Have her license get taken away. They will make her go to dry herself out. And you got to tell her, kids and life first versus drinking. And get the court to support you.
Yeah.
Guess what happened?
Or you got to do it yourself, man.
Guess what happened? He let it go for another 6 months until it got so bad he had no choice but to do that. But by then he was so haunted from all that, he couldn't recover on his own fast enough to take care of those children. And he had a long, hard journey of getting himself out of all the shit he had to put himself through because he let it go another 6 months. If anybody is out there and you know you have a partner that you're sleeping with and you have children and they're doing something like that, there is absolutely ghosts involved. Whether they're an ancestral ghost, a real ghost, something external, or all their own internally created ghosts. Stop that. Don't ever let those children be at risk with a user or an addict like that. Stand up to your environment. Do not allow it in it. As long as you are allowing in it, you are defiling your own environment.
So would you say, Andrew, there's a lot of ghosts and demons in the political arena then? Because they're there to stir up a whole load of shit and a whole load of agendas and put one against the other?
So Teresa's in the chat. This is exactly what I try to tell my friend whose partner is heavily addicted to hard drugs. You're enabling them by taking on their excess demon energy and not allowing them to hit rock bottom. And allowing yourself to be haunted and those in your environment to be haunted too. So Marissa, they are not your kids. And that's why you won't do what needs to be done to fix this unsacred situation. They're not your kids. Stop identifying with your kids. That's what's stopping you from doing the right thing. Okay? That's what's stopping you from doing the right thing. What's the land telling you? Not your political, personal beliefs about them. So, Laura, what was it you said? Go ahead. I didn't answer your question you asked me before.
No, sorry. I was just jumping ahead a bit. And also, just going back to what Marissa's put in the chat. So, Marissa, look at the problem with what you've put is, if I should call on the Indigenous landowner and let them know how far off the path they are. So, does that really feel right to you? For me, that doesn't. So that's getting involved in someone else's journey rather than your own. And that's also enforcing your degree of rightness on somebody else by telling them they're far off your path.
You create karma.
Might be exactly on, they might be exactly on the path they need to learn their lessons. And you're trying to be on their path too and tell them they're not on the right path. They should be on the path you're on. And that is treading on somebody's journey, and as Maty said, that does create negative karma.
And it's also embroiling yourself in the next debate and the next argument, keeping you in that unsacred environment, keeping you intertwined with them.
Yeah, sorry, what I said before that, Andrew, was so would there be like plenty, let's just say plenty of ghosts and demons in political arenas, because one, they're feeding off of it, and they're getting they're keeping everything churned up, keeping the shit going.
So in the political arena, you have a variety of different type of ghost energies that are there to harvest. But you also have positive ghosts in there. You have patriot ghosts who have sacrificed themselves to the nations, and they are an ancestral warrior energy that can be very positive to political movements. And then there are the negative warriors out there who want to tear everything down because they died year after year after year, lifetime after lifetime, to useless wars for political elite. And then you have the regular demons and the regular ghosts who follow these political people around because they're not the most cleanliness people in the world. So many people that get involved in politics end up some of being the most haunted people out there. Why? Because they're so open to it. Yeah, and that's the other unfortunate part of the party-based systems we have there. The ghosts are incestuous.
Yeah.
Between both parties.
You've got family crests, drug
Yes.
use.
A lot of politicians are drug addicts.
Money.
Oh, loads. Yeah.
Did you hear about
Power.
that guy who was... There was a guy, I don't know if you heard about it, he was something to do with like the drug counsellor, or about putting rules on drugs in England, and it turned out to be a big addict, like found with loads of bags of cocaine and stuff. And he was the one, I can't remember his name, I'll have to try and find the name of it, but it made me laugh.
So because we're
Just like when
talking
you look-
about the energy of politics and the politics of spirituality, I'm going to bring up the next subject matter coming up. Now, if you're not in the United States, you may not see this conversation in the same light that I'm trying to put in. No matter who you are or where you are, the next American presidential election will absolutely determine in what direction the awakening goes. And I'm not a pro-Trumper. I'm not a pro-Biden. I'm an anti-corruption. And we live in the world of absolute corruption. It's never been this corrupt in the last 6 centuries. Organized corruption from the highest to the lowest level. In this next election, you're going to see them throwing everything plus the kitchen sink at the global narrative to confuse everybody of the truth. And everyone's individual responsibility between now and that next election and whatever it is that they try to do is don't fall for it. Don't pick a side. Pick you first. Pick natural living first. They're going to do whatever they can do to draw you in. Pictures of UFOs, baby raping lizard wizards, whatever it is, whatever conspiracy they're going to do, crash the economy, whatever you could do to pay attention to it and not the moon, the earth, the passing of the season, the movements of the stars, the greatness of the sky nations, or the medicines of the whales. Take time away from politics. Let it run its course.
And so many people look to the narrative for validation of the awakening. They say, until I see it in the narrative, it's not real. Well, the awakening is very real, and it's very, but it requires you to go within yourself. It requires you to be on that positively. Politics will not get you there.
Right. You will not find your awakening in any of the political drama.
All real
Best piece of
mystical
wisdom you can
experiences
onboard
either.
right now. You will not find your awakening in the political arenas. It doesn't exist there.
And really, how much joy is there in those arenas anyway? Deep,
For
heartfelt
some people,
joy.
it's the greatest joy in the world because it's an ego joy.
Not
I
a
win,
deep
you
heart
lose.
space joy.
Right.
Yeah, the
Politics has no
competitional
room
joy.
politics has no room for heart space.
You can see that in the
Could you
trans
have
movement.
heart? Yeah.
So I was going to say, you can, what are they saying? I'm offended. I'm weak. I'm this. I'm that. And how am I going to go and screaming in your face and threatening you with violence? It's such a juxtaposition.
That's right.
I'm a victim and I'm disempowered is really what they're saying, isn't it?
Yes. I'm going to attack you.
Go on, Maty.
No, I was finished.
Okay. It's difficult to tell with the time delay with you. Could there be heart space politics, Andrew?
No.
Okay.
Now ask why.
Because, I was going to answer the question. Why?
Because politics is compromising your moral code and moral authority, and heart space can't do that. The other side has to have equal heart space. And unless all sides are using heart space, the political environment is you negotiate away your own sovereign authority to justify the other side whatever it is that they want. The political elite don't want the poor to have cheap food. That's not heart space, is it?
No.
They don't want us to have medical coverage for free. They want to charge us thousands of dollars for a single pill that can save our lives, or stretch us out on cancer medicines that make us worse so they can make more money off the insurance companies. How's that heart space?
Mm-hmm.
How is passing any bill that is going to be corrupted its very nature of the bill heart space? How does a judge send somebody to death through heart space? How does a judge sentence a 12-year-old kid to 5 years in youth prison for theft? How does a sheriff take away children from a mother that doesn't at heart space? That's not heart space, is it?
No, it's the opposite.
So there's no moral compass, and it continues the divide and conquer policy as well, doesn't it?
Yep.
It's revenge, vengeance.
Exactly. Justice and judgment. Why is justice blind? So it can equal out all the retribution on the good and the bad. Why does the good need retribution? Because the bad won't survive. And the justice needs the bad to survive as much as the good. And that's a fucked up way to live.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's perpetuating.
But that's
what if the mother is possessed? Hold on, let's answer this question. So let's say a sheriff comes in who doesn't believe in possession and sees a possessed woman with her head going on, and they take the children away. What about that?
Yeah.
Who's that sheriff battling for? The mother or the child? There's absolutely ancestral karma between that sheriff and that child. Until politics, policing, and policy can take on board the nature of ancestral karma and make it a part of the investigatory process, we will not have heart space governments or heart space policy and policing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine if every officer were trained in ancestral balancing and had a form of psychic wisdom, basic psychic wisdom, to understand the energies of the land and what's affecting a person to do something. Imagine if the medical community were empowered with just the most basic awareness of psychicness and saying, hey, we shouldn't put all this medicine in this person at first. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's figure out what's really wrong. Get them out of that environment in a clean environment and actually see if the person can recover versus judging them as unrecoverable and medicating them to the point they can never return to who they were.
Yeah.
Imagine having spiritual hygiene in schools and in hospitals. If someone regularly cleaning them out.
I mean, all of a sudden, there'd be a whole lot of need for shamans, wouldn't there? It would be a real job.
The taxing the shaman.
Imagine that on job forum boards.
Need a shaman now.
Wanted shaman who can work at a hospital with 10,000 people a day. Must bring your own shamanic tools.
Yeah, bring your own sage, motherfucker.
Exactly. Wanted someone to energetically clean an emergency room.
Oh, yeah.
Wanted somebody to energetically cleanse the mental institutions.
Dehaunt them.
Dehaunt them. Imagine that job.
God, you couldn't pay me enough for that shit. Holy fuck.
The idea, but you could teach people how to do it in mass.
Yeah, that would be the better one, yeah.
Yeah. So everybody out there who calls himself a shaman, if you saw a job, $100,000 a year, maintaining spiritual cleanliness at a mental institution, would you take it?
It's a really good question.
No one's saying yes.
How much money, Andrew, and how many people? That's what I want.
100,000 a year. 100,000 a year for, let's say, 90 patients per month.
Oh
gosh!
Do you not have any help?
Yeah, all but just you. You're like a gardener. Yeah.
What would 90 people a month? Holy shit!
You might want a bit more than Sage, Dale.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you think,
only
Maty?
like,
What do you
it's
think,
only
Laura?
like 40,000. It's only like 40,000 square feet and 125 rooms. 7 floors.
I'd say no. I'd say I need some help. I'd need a few team members.
A few of you, wouldn't you, Dale?
Yes.
You would need a team of at least 10.
Yes.
Okay, split between 2 to 3 shifts. Okay.
Can you imagine that job?
Yeah, let's explore that. The show is about the politics of spirituality, but here the uniqueness of that job is a part of the cognitive spiritual market that could be a part of the awakening. I have said this in the past. Who's going to clear out the bank offices from all that negative karma? Who's going to take care of the haunted battlefields that have not been taken care of? Who's going to take care of, wherever they have protests and marches that have left energetic scars on the land?
Yeah.
Who's going to clean up the place where, the corporate boards were deciding the fates of humanity? Or the halls of politicals? All those need cleaning too.
See, I would be more than up for doing this kind of stuff. It just depends on working conditions.
Well, Andrew, how many people would it take to clear out London?
The whole city?
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't do the whole city at once. You'd have to take it in little pieces in probably 25 years with at least 10,000 people.
Wow.
Because you can't shut the whole city down at once.
Yeah.
It would be a generational project. 10,000 people in it would be a generational project. Yeah.
So for all those light workers trying to clear out cities on their own, stop. Stop it.
For every light worker that says they can clean a city in the Vatican out on their own, they're fucking bullshit idiot motherfuckers. I have heard so many people, I've gone to the Vatican and cleared it of all its demons. No, you didn't. You just had an ego journey that makes you think you did that. I saved the world from everything. I was the world saver. No, you didn't. Your ego saved the world. That's it. Ego. How many people out there have heard somebody say that they went there on an energetic mission and cleared the Vatican? I know thousands of people have said that on public radio. Vatican's still there, isn't it? Vatican's
Well,
still
they've
there, still
taken-
doing everything it's doing, isn't it?
Yeah.
What about the ones that say they've taken all the political and all the elites? They've killed all the elites. They're all still there, aren't they?
Yeah.
Black magic, still
Yeah.
doing what they're doing, still making
Still
money.
doing what they're doing. Yeah. So, Teresa,
How would
you
the
heard that, yes. Did they do it? No. And how do you tell a person who went on a mission to save the world and saved everybody in the world and it was only them could do it? What do you say to people like that?
That they really need to
Delusional.
look within, because there's some character flaw really fucked up within them.
Yeah, ego running it.
I get more confrontational.
Voluntary.
I kind of say, I already know what kind of person I'm dealing with, and generally I'll just say to them, do you know what, you couldn't catch a fucking cold. You haven't got anything behind you that's powerful enough to do anything like that. And I just give that to them straight. You don't have the strength for that.
And what I would say to them, so you've had all the strength to take down 2,500 years of prayer of 1.5 billion prayer people's energy every year for 2,500 years. You're so strong that you can resist all of the prayers that keep absolutely all of the Catholic religion organized, good, bad, and indifferent. And you're so strong that you can overwhelm the will of their God. I doubt that. Keep on believing in your delusion. I'll move on and not ever listen to you again. That's what I'll tell them.
Yeah.
You're that powerful.
Exactly.
You're more powerful than 1,500,000 people praying every day. Doesn't seem very good.
What was the backlash? That's it. For those of us that do have broad, there can quite often be a backlash. You try walking into the Vatican. Hello, I'm.
Exactly.
You're not physically
Just walk up to the
walking into
Vatican, walk in,
Vatican.
do what you want.
I had a lady I had a lady come on the psychic surgery practitioner training 2 years ago, and she said she went to Scotland and she went to a castle and a dungeon, and she went to clear it out. She started to try and clear it out. Then the next, I'd say 6 weeks, she was almost suicidal, and she basically got overridden. And that was a prime example of why you don't do that shit. If you're going to go into a place where there's demons, there's beings where you don't have any understanding or responsibility to deal with them, they'll hijack the shit out of you, and they'll make sure they do it after, and so on. So I've seen it firsthand how it can fuck people up.
How many light
They will play
workers
with
have
us.
walked into a church and said they can clear it? How many light workers have walked onto a land and say, I can clear this battlefield?
Yeah.
Because they have the ego, supported by the light worker community, that they are there on a mission and they and only them can clear this energy. Laura?
Yes. I'm laughing at something Dale's put in our chat. I was that light worker. I know. Trying to do things from churchyards and thinking I could override it. Luckily, you helped me through that little glitch, Andrew.
Remember what I told you? Why walk in and poke the demon in the eye?
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
why are you doing the poking the dragon in the eye? You realize that it's a dragon, right? And after you poke it in the eye, it can be quite mad.
Yes. Yeah. Still, I have come through the other side of that.
Right.
At least I learned.
You're recovering light work. You realize
Recovering light worker.
So
Yeah.
we're on. What step are we on, Laura? We're in 10. Step 10.
Step 10, recovering light worker. Yeah. So, Andrew, if there were like 1,000, I don't know, however many shaman it took for a particular area, what starts then to happen in the unseen world, in the unseen negatives world?
So in previous shows, I've actually described what it would take out to clear like New York City, London, Paris, D-Day
Beijing.
battlefields. I talked about specific teams. You'll have 10,000 people on the ground, but you'll have 25,000 people protecting and healing those 10,000 ground people. There has to be an infrastructure to heal those people from the shit they're going to be going through, the negative plasma states, the toxic psychic energies that are like venomous poisons in areas. Okay? So if there's 10,000 on the ground, there's 25,000 in support reserve to make sure those 10,000 on the ground can operate every day. And you're going to break up into teams of 200, 300, 400 at a time, each with your own individual clearing tool, prayer, sound healing, whatever it is going to do to create frequency and vibration that breaks the static hold of the negative energy in an area. All the while, you're going to be having ghostly manifestations, physically attacking and trying to jump into those people or the support structure behind them because you're going after their infrastructure. They're absolutely going to fight back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So would you have the team at the front, Andrew, then the people supporting them, sending protection to them, then would you have another lot behind them as well and continue it on?
Correct. Multiple layers of protecting the forward people and the backward people too.
Yeah.
I guess just like demons had multi-layered attack.
Yes.
You imagine, look at what we do with our combined healing therapies. When all four of us are working together, different role in a different space. You know, it's quite impressive when we do that, isn't it? You know, and in that, but on a much grander scale with teams instead of individuals. But look how hard we work, even just when we go to that scale. It's very difficult work.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Imagine it to doing the Lloyd's of London building, or the International Gold Exchange building.
Parliament.
All gold trades are done through this one building. The pegging of the golden price for the whole world is done through one building. Imagine trying to clear that building out.
Wow.
Maty, why don't you share your story about
and
that?
In the basement of this building is about 14 tons of gold that has been storing 200 years of fictional energy.
Wow.
Maty, do you remember the story of the Airbnb place with where you went and it was? Do you want to share that story? Because I think it kind of connects to this show.
Well, the demons.
the one where when you went to that place and you had to get out there and you had to go to a different place with all of the stuff and you spoke to Andrew. Do you want to share that story?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll leave all names and places out.
Yeah.
There was. We'd finished working for the day, and during that, what can only be described as a rather challenging exorcism. A lot of physical energy as well as spiritual energy. So
that was done in the morning, and then we did multiple clients. And at the end of the day of doing multiple clients and combined therapy, he went to a house.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Maty. How did it go?
And as I sat in that house, I was, there was a negative environment there already. There was a confrontation there already, and as I looked at the mantelpiece, I could see a pyramid, and then there was two obelisks, and then there was a picture of a bondage scene, and then I looked on the wall, and there was all these little pegs, and these pegs had been drawn as each one was a half-naked child, and there were hundreds of them. And I said, oh my God, I need to investigate this big house. And so as I walked around, every single room I went into, it was red flag after red flag after red flag. And I had to contact Andrew. I mean, I knew in my heart of hearts, I think what I was contacting Andrew for was the final validation to say everybody, and a lot of money had been spent on this property, and people had traveled there, spent all night traveling from abroad, got there, just wanted to sleep. And I'm like, we have to leave this place. You can imagine how people would be. But it was clearly obvious what was going on there. And so I spoke to Andrew, and he was like, yeah, you don't want to be there. And we had a child with us as well. And it became obvious that this was the darkest of darks kind of things that went on there. And what happened was the demons began to play this game where they were obviously they didn't want me in there as much as I didn't want to be in there, but there were other people there, and they were playing this game of let's just keep them there until I'm completely disempowered. And so they were creating drama within the people that were there. And I had just had this whole day of doing those healings, and now I'm in the demon's own home where all of these dark rituals and ceremonies are held. I mean, actual proper dark rituals and ceremonies, not just people pretending, and the darkest of dark energies. And I was there and I'm thinking, well, if I all of a sudden the demons came and they were standing there and they were just watching me, and as everyone was trying to pack and get out, they came for me. And at that moment I realized I couldn't fight. There was no way for me to fight. So all I could do was engage the demons. So I began to sing in light language. And very luckily, this young girl that was with me, how old was she? About 3 or 4, the little one? She was very
4.
young. Yeah, 4. And she began to follow behind me and sing as well. And so we walked around in a circle for a good 30 minutes to an hour, just singing. And then when they took the little girl out, then basically I just had to engage these demons, and these are high level as well. This isn't just small stuff. This was a hell of a journey for me. But in the end, I had to engage the demons, tell them my life story, and actually come to some sort of middle ground where I showed them that I share some perspectives with them and other parts I don't. And it was very interesting to be able to maintain that. And then I was like, right, get the hell out. But that doesn't really explain the feeling and the amount of sheer willpower and strength I had to have in that moment, not to just be so afraid that I allowed that energy in, because it would have been absolutely devastating. And I still didn't get to sleep till about 3 a.m.
And they messed up your sat nav.
Messed up the sat nav. Jumped into
Tried
one
to
of
get
our
you back,
parts,
didn't
Trying to get you not to be able to balance.
Yeah.
Even after they said they wouldn't attack you after you left, they kept attacking.
Yep.
I never trusted even.
Yeah.
You did amazing, Maty. That was amazing. It
was survival, Laura. Absolute survival. It was survival instinct. What was the other option? Get completely fucking annihilated.
Yeah.
And you had other people to consider there too.
Yeah, and there were doors in that house, because that property was on a big country estate, and there were doors in that house that were locked from the other side that linked to another building. I mean, how fucking creepy is that? And the artwork was horrible. One of the pictures had a woman whispering to another woman, and it simply had the words coming out of her mouth. She had it coming.
Andrew, what did you say it would take to clear that house out? I remember you talking about it.
I don't remember exactly what I said, but it wouldn't be easy.
I think he said about 30 grand and about 8 practitioners.
Yeah,
30 grand. Minimum 30 grand.
No, it was 100 grand. That was it.
Yeah.
If anything less than 30 grand isn't worth my life force.
Yeah.
So you imagine how about a bunch of politicians going to that house?
Oh, they already go there to do whatever they're doing. Trust me, they're part of the problem.
Okay. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Listen, I've had clients come to me to ask me if they can clean out these old houses, and my answer is no. No matter what you're going to offer, the answer is no. It's not worth my life force. Well, can you put a team together? Sure, but there's no guarantees, and you don't understand the backlash that will come at me. Period. You don't understand the backlash that will come at me. Trying to clear out the ancestral ghost of an ancient castle. No.
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of the people who offer house clearing, you just see it as part of whatever else they do, and they offer house clearing?
Some of them are very good. When it's 1, 2, or 3 common ghosts in there. But when it has nothing to do with a common ghost, it has ancestral lineage with family crests and black magic in it, done it for centuries, no one person can clear that house. No one person, no one practitioner can do that. Yeah. Not even Jesus himself could do it, because of what it takes to understand how the unseen world has woven together with the physical world there. You have to literally tear out the entire unseen world and put a brand new one there that doesn't have the dark magic behind it.
Yeah.
Reread entire history in this timeline.
It is literally walking into somebody's house and asking them to leave. This is the thing. That's what I felt in that energy. I was like, guys, I appreciate that I am in your home. All right. I appreciate that fact.
And also, I guess the people living in that house have contracts woven in as well. So it's not just the house you'd be working on, is it? It's the individuals themselves who live there. As
well as the animals on the property, the birds, the bees, the ducks, all those things are absolutely have to be rewoven too.
The insect communities too. Those kinds of family crests, they're not just bound to earth as well. When you begin to look into these crests and some of these lineage curses, they go beyond just earth. And, there could be an army behind the people that you're trying to remove, a literal army.
That's why I say no one practitioner can clear out some of these more haunted stuff. But back to what I was saying, there are many people who can clear out a house with a handful of, let's just say, they're common everyday ghosts that haven't figured out how to pass over. Many of those people are very effective. But as soon as you run into something that you can't deal with or don't know how to deal with or have never seen before, you've already lost.
I've seen people do it, people that have been practitioners for a very long time that just keep themselves in that bubble of this is my tradition, or I follow this tradition from this country, or there is only such things as ghosts, and they don't have any awareness of the levels and layers beyond that. They just can't complete the work they're getting paid to do. They just can't.
Right.
There's another thing I did, Andrew, wasn't it? I tried to take on Masonic buildings on my own.
Yep.
And then got a load of shit.
How did that work out for you, Laura? Quickly, Massey, how did it work out?
Andrew was like, you don't realise that there's in every brick that's been laid in that building, in everything that's been put up on the inside, on the outside, in all the lettering, in absolutely everything on that building is got this imprinting in it, the Masonic imprinting. And I think that I can go and tip my bottle of urine. Do you remember the days when Andrew used to say about taking, and tip that over the sign and say a few words and walk around the outside claiming I'm a light worker would actually do something. So,
Archangel Michael.
Can I just say, Laura, do you imagine being arrested for pouring piss on a building, and they're like, what did she do? They're like, what?
All right, guys, we're at the end of the show. Let's call it an end. So, Laura, you want to give a way for people to get a hold of you and talk about combined therapy?
Yeah, if you want to know any more about our combined therapy that's coming up in York, please email me. There it is on the screen, Laura2feathers with the number 2@gmail.com. I will help you in any way I can. And if you want a concierge, in other words, a package designed for you, that is also a possibility.
Dale?
If you would like any soul surgery sessions, head over to daletobin.com. And thank you again for an incredible show, guys.
Maty?
Okay, if you would like a psychic surgery session with me or any other form of advice or assistance, I'm a very good house clearer myself, but I'm not touching any old castles. Go to Maty, go to twofeathersmedicine.com. Go to my page and the link's there to email me.
All right, you guys know who I am. You go to my website, andrewbartzis.com. We have a mentorship class that'll be starting the third week in September. So for those of you out there have been wanting to do a mentorship journey with me, go and sign up for that. Also, I'm available to do sessions. We have a new automated booking system, everybody. Yay! All right, everybody, we'll be back this coming Tuesday with the 100th episode of the Talking Stick Show.
Yay.
Take it away, Joe.
Thank you.